There's my apartment, there's the street, and there's the beach. Right on the beach. Apartment building, street, beach.
What's it like to move to a new country, learn a new language, and live a new life? How did you do it? How much did it cost? And most importantly, are you happy? We asked these questions and many more of Hue Eller, ex-military, USA expat, now living in the Bocagrande neighborhood of Cartagena, the Miami of Colombia. Thanks a lot, Hugh, for coming to visit with me today and giving a little interview. Looking forward to getting to know you a little bit better. I'll just start off from here. So if you would give us your name, where you're from, if you want to share your age,
Good.
Anything about life in general that you want to share with us about yourself.
My name is Hue Eller from originally born in Virginia. Grew up in Virginia, moved to North Carolina in 2006. Moved here to Colombia December 2020. Retired military and I'm 60 years old.
Why specifically did you travel here?
So I had always considered or wanted to move to somewhere tropical when I retired. Discussed these things with my wife, and she passed away in 2018. Right about 2019, my best friend and I started traveling together and going to places where I considered retiring. So we went to Mexico. We came here in March 2020, right before COVID changed the world. I was really impressed with the weather, the people, the women, the cost of living. This might be a nice place to retire. And at that point, I started researching the cost of property and what it would cost me to live here.
So do you have like a retirement visa?
I applied for the pension visa, so I purchased an apartment. If you don't mind, I'll explain that process a little bit to someone else might be interested.
I am.
For some reason, I try to do it on my own. I don't know why. I don't speak Spanish very well. At the time, my Spanish was almost non-existent. I hired a realtor, but I didn't hire a lawyer, which I should have done that from the start, because once I did that, the process was much smoother.
Okay.
So as a foreigner, you have the same rights to purchase property as a Colombian citizen, but you have to bring the money into Colombia in order to do that. You can't purchase it from your U.S. bank. And to do that, they do a thorough financial history background check on you to make sure that the money that you have, the money that you're using to purchase the property, doesn't come from any illegal means. So once you're cleared, okay, you're cleared to bring the money in. I use a company called Alianza. They transfer the money from my bank account to a city bank in New York, and then I have 5 days to say, okay, bring my money to Colombia based on what the exchange rate is at the time. Once the money's here in Colombia, then the purchase process can proceed at that point. So the reason I hired a lawyer was because the initial building I looked at, she did a title search on it and found that the building had a history of investigation for money laundering from the previous owner as well as the owner of the construction company that built it. She said, I suggest that you don't purchase that property because at any point, the Colombian government can seize that property. It may happen, it may not happen. She said, but I really suggest you look for something else. And so that was another thing that I never considered when trying to do it on my own, as well as to register the property with the central bank. So once the property is registered with the central bank, at that point you qualify for the investment visa. Purchase the property first. So you can come in for 90 days on your passport, and you get another 90-day extension. So 180 days per calendar year that you can stay in Colombia. So I was almost at the end of my 180-day, and when my visa was approved. So I purchased the property. She applied for the visa. 3 weeks later, the visa was approved for 3 years. After the visa was approved, I submitted an application for Colombian ID. It's called Sello de Extranjero. So it's pretty much an ID for a foreign citizen. She initially told me that the visa would be approved for 1 to 2 years based on the temperament of whoever did the visa, but they approved it for 3 years. So I'm good until 2024.
But that's by buying a property, not by a business or anything else.
Right. The only two I looked into was investment visa and the retirement or the pension visa. The pension visa is pretty low, somewhere around $400 a month guaranteed income. It's not very high.
Yeah, I've seen that in other places, right? As long as you can do the minimum wage. As a matter of fact, I was watching something on Portugal this morning. They were talking about as long as you can do the minimum wage in Portugal. At that time, the minimum wage was just under $800. As long as you got proof, you got $800. Like if you say that's the same thing for me, I look at my military retirement as
exactly
what I need to be able to stay here.
Indeed.
Yeah. So yeah, that's some good information, especially for people thinking about living other places. Because most brothers think we can't afford to live there, especially if you visited Europe.
Right.
I can't afford to live in most places in Europe.
For what you can do here with $4,000, you can't do the same thing in the United States. So when you say to me that you can't live here and have the lifestyle that you want for $4,000, I don't understand that, because you can do a whole lot more here with $4,000 than you can in the United States. So maybe
maybe I think a part of it might be that I'm going from place to place all the
the
time.
visitor, the travel.
Well, see, I'm going like for a month here, a month there,
Okay.
even a week here, a week there.
Okay.
So when you have to get those kind of Airbnbs, it's going to be more expensive than if you're doing a yearly lease, for example.
But you can get monthly leases here. You can get 2-month leases here.
I did not investigate that because I didn't want to stay more than a month. I have something coming up in the States. My son's getting married. When he gets married, thank you. So when he's getting married, I got to go back. So I knew I was going to have at least that break. A lot of the places that I looked at to stay, especially Airbnbs that were less than $70, $80 to $90 a day. I'm paying actually $91, I think, here a day in this place. And it's just an efficiency with the bed's right there, the stove and the refrigerator's right there. I got a beautiful spot. I love that. But as far as a renting place, if I was renting something,
You want more.
I want that second bedroom to put stuff in, to set my stuff up and leave it there.
Okay.
Like here, I got just a table for this, and
Right.
it's not enough. So to the apartments that I was looking at in the better parts of town with a view, all that stuff, they've always been closer to 100 rather than.
So $100 a day, that's a 10-day stay, $4,000. Right?
Yeah.
So you can rent furnished apartments in Bocagrande for $1,100 for a month. That's why I'm not following your.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know. You do,
yeah.
and I appreciate you telling me that,
Yeah.
because when I did see a lot of people talking about that stuff and renting things, but they're talking about again a rent for a month.
Yeah.
If I'm going from place to place, sometimes I get there and after 2 days I'm like, now I really want to stay here. So I'm very cautious about renting a place for a month at a time. Like when I went to Medellin, I rented for like 3 days, so at a hotel, so I could find the apartment that I wanted,
Okay.
which area that I wanted the apartment in, all that stuff. Gave me 3 days on the site so I
Right.
can see where the places really are, what it feels like at night, which country you had best experience with eating.
Best food in South America, maybe the world, I don't know. But definitely South America is Peru, hands down. And in second place, I would put Brazil. Colombia is not known for the food. To me, there's absolutely nothing impressive about traditional Colombian dishes. Absolutely nothing. I've had some good Venezuelan dishes, but Colombian food, if you're coming here for the food, you're going to be disappointed. If you're coming here for traditional Colombian, I like Mexican food a lot better than Colombian food. Colombia is just not that. Some got lost when they I guess invented or created dishes here. These are dishes.
I'm a big fruit person as well, and I like that the vendors on the street have some fruit, but I have to be cautious even with those because I'm a little bit of a clean freak
Okay.
as far as food is concerned.
I came in December with a friend, stayed in a hotel for a week, and then when he left, I'd already arranged for an apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood called Teresa's. Not the best neighborhood around, but it was only about $400 a month, $450 a month. And it was and it was not somewhere I could live long term, but it served a purpose for me, somewhere to stay until I found my apartment. But I wouldn't want to stay there for an extended period of time. I would never buy that place because it was, for one thing, it was out of the way. It was here in Colombia, here in Cartagena, I don't know about other cities, they have zones, and it was in a zone 1 or 2. And I live in Bocagrande, which is a zone 6. So what does that mean? That means, for one thing, it means my utilities are higher, but I'm also not subject to the rolling blackouts, the rolling water outs they do here in Cartagena. So when the other parts of the city could be without electricity for 12 hours or without water for 12 hours, I don't have that problem in Bocagrande.
So yeah, I really appreciate the information about the apartment and the process that you went through, especially about having to get a lawyer here, because most everybody thinks, I got a realtor, we're good, because
Right.
they know all the rules. But
But they don't.
No.
They don't, and it really doesn't have privy to the information about the title of the building. So she didn't know that the lawyer had to do a thorough title search on
Yeah.
it, and that's the information that the realtor didn't know. I don't think she had access to.
Yeah, it definitely helps to get the right information, right knowledge about those kind of things.
Yeah.
What's your favorite country you visited? And then we'll go to what's your favorite spot here in Cartagena?
Okay, my favorite country. I really like here, Colombia. I like Italy as well. I like to do some more traveling in Europe. I plan on doing it this summer, but I think I'm gonna wait until next year to travel to Europe. Do more exploring here in South America this year.
Do you think you got kind of the travel bug from your military time?
I got it before that. My mom, when we grew up, my mom drove us everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, she drove us to Tijuana from Virginia.
What?
Yes. She drove us to Minnesota, New York, Florida. My mom drove us all around the country.
Oh, that's cool.
I kind of had that travel bug before as a child, before I even joined the military. I didn't do a lot of traveling after military until I got married, and then my wife and I started traveling a lot together.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have that kind of thing too, because my mom moved around a lot, and before I joined the military, so I was used to having to develop new friends, having to get used to a new environment already before I joined the military. And when I joined the military, that moving every 4 years. For Air Force, it was 4 years. You guys were 3 years, right?
My first assignment was in Camp Casey, Korea, and then I stayed in Fort Bragg from that point on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right now, you're living here in Colombia.
Right.
How are you supporting yourself? I know you're retired military.
Retired military, as well as I get retired UPS as well.
Cool.
When I moved here, I was still working for the school system. I didn't have enough years to have a pension from them, but we were working online. They decided to go back into the building before I was finished the house buying process, the apartment purchasing process here. And they gave me a choice. They said, you got to come back. I said, thank you for your time. I'm not coming back.
I'm not coming back.
Yeah, it's not an option, you know. That's my retirement benefit from military, UPS, and savings.
Okay. This is the one thing that I think is a lot of detail in, but I want to get a little bit more insight into. How much did you pay for your place?
Okay.
Did you pay the whole thing? Did
Right.
you just pay a certain part and then you pay monthly payments? How did you do?
Okay, so there's no payment plan here. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure most Colombians and Venezuelans, when they purchase property, they save and purchase the property. From what I understand, to finance a house is ridiculous rates. So I purchased my property outright, and I have a 2-bedroom apartment. The building I live in is only 2 apartments per floor. There's my apartment, and there's a 3-bedroom apartment. And my apartment was at the time with the exchange rate was $155,000. So, and there's my apartment, there's the street, and there's the beach. Right on the beach. Apartment building, street, beach.
That's very nice.
And I can go out of my apartment, I can look to the crib and see to one side, and I can look on the other side to the
Hey here.
bay, to the bay, yeah, to the bay. So, and not counting food, because I don't budget food into my budget, so I'm not sitting down every month and I got to spend this much on food. But as far as administration fees, electricity, water, gas, cable, internet, and cell phone, my monthly expenses are about $300. On a high month, $350.
That's it?
On a high month.
So after your initial investment, living pretty good.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. And if you don't want to purchase and you just want to rent here, then your monthly expenses are going to be less. But at the end of the day, well, I mean, you can look at that how you look at owning property versus renting property. It's going to be pretty much the same philosophy wherever you do that.
yeah. The only problem for me in actually purchasing a property is I want to get to the point where you are mentally that this is the right spot for me.
Right. So, like I said, and I don't know if this is, if I visit somewhere else, this is where I kind of look at things, So, if I had a Mercedes, when I go here and I realize I could have had a Bentley here, and Michael said, damn, I could have had the Bentley, and I got a Mercedes. So I look at the living here like, I'm happy here. So if I looked at, if I went to the Philippines, or if I went to Panama or something like that, I said, damn, this is a little bit nicer than Cartagena. Like, Okay, well, I'm still happy in Cartagena. I don't want to make this decision because I could have found something better.
Yeah.
Maybe with a woman, but as far as me living here, even with a woman, if she makes me happy, if she's beautiful, and I see another woman that may be a little bit more beautiful, hey, I still got a champion. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't make my decision based on what I could have had better had I not made this decision.
Yeah.
Like I said, for me, the weather, the people, not just the women, cost of living. I like it hot, so the temperature here. I don't like rain. And when it rains here, it only rains for an hour, which is one reason I chose here over Medellin. It just rains too much in Medellin for me. I can't take it. I mean, I just can't deal with all that rain. And you just sitting down in a restaurant having a good time, next thing you know, it's a full-blown thunderstorm.
Yeah.
I mean, like a full-blown pouring down buckets for an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah.
No, thank you, no thank you. And then it drops down to the 60s at night, sometimes even cooler. No thank you.
Yeah, I did notice that too when I was there, that rain was a long time. I've got delayed on a couple of tours because the buses couldn't get through. The whole city was clogged because of the rain. And then that getting a little bit cold at night, I was kind of surprised by that because I didn't really bring cold weather stuff. But I know 60 is probably not that cold, but it's cold for me.
60, 70 is cold for me.
Yeah, you know, but I always try to make sure I have something light anyway because I go to a lot of a lot of restaurants that overdo the
cool.
AC.
There you go. Especially the movies.
Yeah.
So when I go to the movies, I put on long pants and put a jacket in my backpack.
Okay. Yeah, that's one other thing too about here in Colombia is that long pants thing. So everybody's kind of expected to wear long pants. They see you short pants, they almost instantly know you're tourists.
Yeah.
Because hardly any. I'm like, you're burning my eyes. Why are you wearing long pants?
Why do you have on jeans? How do you even wear a suit here?
Yeah. What's most important in the places you visit? I think you really pretty much kind of hit on it. You want that nice warm weather.
Right.
You want a clean atmosphere, all that good stuff.
Right. So, and I love nature. I'm not a historian, but I like historical sites. So when I go to, say if I were in Rome, just to see the Colosseum is enough for me. I don't have to go and read when it was built, what happened there. That's overkill for me. But to see historical sites, to see things in nature that I've read about, that's what attracts me to a place. So back in February, I did an Amazon tour here. Went to a city called Leticia, which is the southernmost city in Colombia, borders Brazil and Peru. And you can just walk back and forth through borders, no passport. But to be in the Amazon, to swim in the Amazon River, things like that, those kind of things excite me. Seeing things that I've read about, seen on National Geographics, those are the kind of things that attract me when I travel.
So many of us don't travel and we want to kind of do those things, but we don't think they're in the realm of possibility. And that's why having this interview is important for me, is because my real goal here is to encourage more people, specifically our demographic, retired black guys who are sitting at home doing nothing but getting drunk every day. Come out, check the world out. There's a lot of stuff still going on. We did our thing in the military. We did travel other countries in the military. We did do all of the things, but now we have a chance to do this a little more freely. With the cost of living, most people can do fine, especially on military retirement and Social Security, can be fine living in other countries. I know people that are living in Panama, which is more expensive than here, and they are only on Social Security, period. That's it, that's all they got. We got a little bit of extra bit bump there. Or, some people are digital nomads and get on the computer and do some stuff. I'm computer trained, all that good stuff, but I don't want to do anymore. I'm done working.
I hear you, man. I'm with you on that. Because I've been offered teaching jobs here. I'm like, you're not going to pay me enough for me to sacrifice my freedom. You're just not.
Yeah. I mean, there's several days that I thought I'm going to get up, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do that. Even with the YouTube channel, it's a challenge because it's a lot of work to edit, to set up interviews and do all these other things that I'm learning to do. But sometimes it feels like work, and when it starts to feel like work, I back off of it a little bit. We done enough.
I've served my time.
Yes.
Paid my dues, however you want to phrase it.
Hue has a lot more information to share with us, so I'm going to make this a two-part video. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss part 2.